good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I am Akila Carter-Francique, coming to you from San Jose State University. I serve as the Executive Director for the Institute for the Study of Sports, Society, and Social Change, and glad to have you with us today. So again, we are here for our second year of our Human Rights Institute and the Institute for the Study of Sports, Society, and Social Change event. We welcome you to San Jose State University for our annual research colloquium for human rights and social change. The purpose of this colloquium is to engage scholars, students, and community organizations in conversations on research, reporting, and advocacy relating to human rights and social change. Again, I'm Dr. Carter-Francique. Not only do I serve as the Executive Director for our beloved Institute for the Study of Sports, Society, and Social Change here at San Jose State University, which is housed in the department, I should say in the College of Social Sciences, under the leadership of Dr. and Dean Walt Jacobs. I also serve as an associate professor in the Department of African American Studies, where I have the privilege to educate the next generation of social change agents. Today's collaborative institute event will include a keynote speaker, concurrent thematic student-led discussions, and an awards presentation for students, faculty, and community partners in their effort to work and learn in spaces that embody this year's colloquium theme that is simply human rights and social change. As we embark on this 2-hour research, advocacy, and activist event, it is important that we acknowledge those that came before us in this shared space and on this borrowed land. The San Jose State University community recognizes that the present day Muwekma Ohlone tribe, with an enrolled Bureau of Indian Affairs documented membership of over 550, is comprised of all of the known surviving American Indian lineages aboriginal to the San Francisco Bay region, who trace their ancestry through the Mission Santa Clara, San Jose, and Dolores during the advent of the Hispano-European Empire into Alta California, and who are the successors and living members of the sovereign historic previously federally recognized Verona Band of Alameda County. Furthermore, the San Jose State University community recognizes that the university is established within the Thiamin Ohlone speaking tribal ethno-historic territory, which based upon the unratified federal treaties of 1851 to 1852. It includes the unceded ancestral lands of the Muwekma Ohlone tribe of San Francisco Bay Area. Some of the enrolled Muwekma lineages are descended from direct ancestors from the Thiamin Ohlone tribal territory whose ancestors had affiliation with the Mission Santa Clara. The San Jose State University community also recognizes the importance of this land to the indigenous Muwekma Ohlone people of this region, and consistent with our principles of community and diversity, strives to be good stewards on behalf of the Muwekma Ohlone tribe whose land we occupy. As we move forward, we wanted to give a few housekeeping tips for today's activity. So yes, we are recording. This is an opportunity to celebrate, capture, and preserve the great work of our participants, keynotes, and honorees today. Thus, we ask all to respect this virtual space, mute and unmute accordingly, and contribute through thought-provoking questions and constructive commentary through the use of the Q&A feature. Please note that we will do our best to answer all questions, but in case we do not, we will forward your submissions to the respective panelists and presenters. So without further ado, I excitedly pass the mic to my dear colleague and partner in social change, Dr. William Armeling. Dr. Armeling serves as the director of the Human Rights Institute, which is also housed in the College of Social Sciences at San Jose State University. He serves as an associate professor in the Department of Sociology and Interdisciplinary Social Sciences, bringing forth thought-provoking scholarship, teaching excellence, and a steadfast commitment to disruption as a social justice activist.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to, well, I don't see you right now, but it's good to theoretically see you today. I'm not going to take too much time running my mouth because Dr. Carter Francique did a wonderful introduction, as she always does. But I do want to welcome our students, our faculty, our community guests, and everyone who's attending today's Spring Research Colloquium. We'll be starting today with a brief keynote from some folks who are also going to be one of our first award recipients of the day. But to introduce them, I would like to introduce a couple students from a really important student group on campus who are going to say a little bit about their work with our two awardees and speakers for today, and a little bit more about kind of the work that our student and student organizations do throughout the year in association with our institutes. And so I would like to now introduce Mackenzie and Abraham from SAMI, Students Against Mass Incarceration. And this is a student group that's been working on and off campus for actually several semesters now, and now has been working very closely with the Care First, Jail Last, or Jail Never coalition. And I want to go ahead and invite Abraham and Mackenzie to join us and introduce our speakers and our awardee recipients. So we'll be giving out our first award of the day to Silicon Valley Debug. And this will be our 2022 Human Rights and Social Change Community Award. And to introduce the folks who will receive that award on behalf of Debug and who are going to give us a little bit of opening remarks on their work with the coalition. Again, I'll introduce Abraham and Mackenzie. Take it away.
Good morning, y'all. Thank you for having us and allowing us to present this award and to introduce these special individuals that we've gone and worked with. So Jose is actually the one that brought us onto the campaign and into the coalition. And Jose is a community member organizer at Silicon Valley Debug, focused on criminal justice reform, prisoners' human rights, and Chicano culture and history.
Everyone, my name is Mackenzie. As mentioned, I'm a part of SAMI. It's been such a wonderful experience in getting to know Jose and Benet. I think one of my favorite memories is when we went to a community organizing engagement event. I sat down next to Benet and I didn't know who she was at first, but she was so sweet and so kind. And I'm honored to be a part of this coalition. Specifically more about Benet. She is a member of Silicon Valley Debug and a San Jose native whose family used to farm on these lands. She's a mother, wife, and advocate for her family and faith. Benet got involved with the Care First, Jail Last coalition when her husband caught a case and became an advocate to improve conditions and treatment inside for loved ones. Since 2013, she decided to become more involved at Silicon Valley Debug, and the rest is history. So I'm excited to have both of you guys here. So thank you so much for coming. One more thing, apologies. I would also love to shout out to other Debug people who've been putting in such hard work, including Cynthia, Tina, and Melissa. So thank you to those folks as well.
And with that, we'll invite Jose and Benet to say a few words about their work in the Care First, Jail Last, or Jail Never coalition.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jose Valle, Silicon Valley Debug community organizer. Really appreciate being here. Thank you for being here. It's definitely it's appreciative to you do this work, and you're not doing this work for awards and stuff like that. You're doing it for the people. You're doing it for your passion. It's something that I've always been passionate about, just being that, I'm formerly incarcerated, and a lot of my loved ones, a lot of my good friends are either incarcerated or have been incarcerated. So it's definitely a big passion of mine to do something for the betterment of my community, for sure. So I'm really appreciative of today and the award. As far as jail Care First, Jail Never, I think Debug has always done this sort of work. We're one of the long-standing organizations that have, combated police brutality, participatory defense, which is what we do to empower families that are in the courts or have their loved ones in the courts. And then also, of course, prisoners' human rights. So we've always done this work, but I think it really kicked off post George Floyd and during 2020, and there was a big sort of consciousness, I think, nationwide about let's invest in our communities and divest from the police, law enforcement, jails. And we were successful in bringing to thought, hey, what do we do instead of having this new jail? And although we didn't exactly win just yet, but it has been, we have been successful in engaging people on how to look at incarceration differently. I think that there's still a lot of potential and momentum going on, and there's still plenty to do. Instead of building a new jail, we got enough jails. We have enough people in jails. There's enough data out there that programs and services and alternatives do work and do keep our communities safer, not just locking away our people and throwing away the key. That doesn't work. And there's plenty of data to support that. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce, I guess, Benet. If Benet could join me.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having us. We're very appreciative and humble for this award. It's been a long road. I'm going to get a little emotional, but thank you to Sammy. You guys are so great. You guys are, young, resilient, and it's an honor for me to pass the torch on to you guys to help fight mass incarceration within Santa Clara County and for conditions inside. The coalition is made up of all of Santa Clara County, and it's just great to see everybody that got involved come together for No New Jail. It was, y'all, even the jazz festival got involved. They were like, no new jail. That was so impressive to me. I was just so touched. And, when I first started this fight, it was just a handful of families visiting the sheriff, having meetings and fighting for our loved ones inside. And now look at the coalition has grown, Sammy doing their thing. And you guys are just so great. And it's just been an honor to work with you all. And y'all the truth, like you kids got it. You guys are so dope. And what the ultimate goal for all of this is no new jail. So with the push of the whole community and organizations, and of course, Sammy helping to do it, meeting tirelessly. I remember Abe he was just so juggling everything, but he still made it to meetings. And it was just the perseverance that I seen in him. And Mackenzie, she'd be like, oh, Benet, can we meet? Can we do this? And it was just nonstop. And I hope you all take a break. You guys are great. And thank you again for having us. Debug is so honored to be here with you all. And thank you. Thank you. Lots of love and peace and healing.
And shout out to all the families, Debug families that are directly impacted for sure. They definitely lead this work, and folks just like Benet, that really lead this work.
Thank you.
So before you all jump off here, I wanted to ask one quick question for our audience. So would you mind just spending a minute or two just to say a little bit about where the coalition is now in its work, and for folks that might want to know more or get involved, what kinds of things they could do to get involved or support? And I also think we have an action coming up tomorrow, right, too? So anything at all you want to say about sort of where the coalition is now in their work, and how other folks, if they want to get involved or want to know more, how they can do that?
For sure. Did you want me to speak, Benet?
Yeah.
Okay. So right now, because the county already did vote, and they went ahead and approved the new jail. Well, the coalition is sort of thinking now, and the families at Debug, how can we bring this back to the people? Because without a doubt, all the community sessions, all the different things that they've done to try to get to see what Santa Clara County wants, the taxpayers, those that are directly impacted, and then also just a wide range of demographics. Everyone pretty much said that they don't want no new jail. And but the board went ahead and voted on it and approved it. So I think just now we're just moving towards what can we do to put that power back in the people, and not just accept that because a few representatives that obviously their representation or not is not reflecting Santa Clara County, and it's not reflecting our people. So what can we do instead? So that's basically where we're at now. And as far as getting involved, you could always hit me up. You could always hit anybody at Debug. Oh yeah, there you go. Benet, I think just dropped in some emails, so you could definitely hit up that email and try to get involved. I think we were successful so far in getting the word out there, but I think if we're really going to try to do this and put it in the hands of the people, where we could basically challenge the vote that the supervisors had, we're definitely going to need a lot of help. And so definitely take advantage. If this is something that you're passionate about, if you want to go ahead and do something, hit up the emails. And we meet like once a month as of now, I think. So yeah, there's plenty of things to do to get involved.
Great. Thank you both so much. And I think with that, we're going to present you with our kind of online award certificate. This is what we do now. We're in Zoom world. We actually do have these really nice plaques that we have for you all. So we'll get those to you all right away. But obviously, we want to be able to recognize you here and now. And so it is really an honor, y'all. And just so that the audience knows as well, I mean, I've had the pleasure to be a Debug member myself. I am also a member of a system impacted family. And I will say, I don't really talk about this that much publicly, but I will say that, Debug has really been there for me and for my family and for many families that I know. And I've been living in San Jose for 15 years. And so it's a real personal pleasure and an honor for me to award this to you all. And I want to kind of second what you all said earlier about shouting out all of the Debug families and all of the many people who've been working so hard on this coalition. It was hard for us to pick who to have accept the award on behalf of everybody, but the students, had trouble deciding, and I'm really happy that we were able to have you today. But again, Jose and Benet, it really is our pleasure to present you and Debug with the award. And like I said, keep a lookout in the mail. We'll get you your nice shiny glass plaques as well.
Nice.
All right.
Maybe a little San Jose State swag too, fam. I know you like those sweatshirts, Jose.
I do.
That's right.
So thank you so much, y'all. And to the rest of our attendees, we'll get moving now with the rest of the program. We're going to be a few minutes ahead of schedule, but that's always good because that means we can get going with our day a little earlier too. And so we'll keep it moving through the program. Thanks a lot, y'all.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Bye, Mackenzie. Love you guys.
Have a good one. Thank you.
This is amazing. Hugs all around. And let's everybody give those virtual congratulations, those thank yous. Jose and Benet, first and foremost, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your time. And again, congratulations to you and Silicon Valley Debug on receiving this honor and this award. Oh my goodness, hand claps, just send them, send love through this platform. Please do use that chat. You guys got it. Thank you. Well, as Doc said, we're going to keep moving. We're going to keep moving through this because not only do we want to celebrate this work and these individuals that we see or just met today, we want to keep it moving with some of our students. So in this portion of our colloquium, we have the opportunity to examine the inspirational human rights and social change interests and research from our very own San Jose State students in the concurrent sessions with 3 topics led by our powerhouse faculty and institute administrators. So I'm going to go through this portion. We're going to share what those particular concurrent sessions are, and then we're going to have each and every one of you break into those respective sessions. And with that said, we're going to come out of webinar and then move into those individual meetings. So we'll drop some details in the chat for you. Follow those links accordingly. So with all of that said, our first session, our first breakout session that you will go into, if you see your name or if you're joining us today and are interested in these groups and these different topics, you'll go into that respective space. But feel free to session hop if you're a visitor to listen to some of those great conversations. So first and foremost, diversity, equity, inclusion will be led by our very own Dr. Amy August, Assistant Director for the Institute for the Study of Sports, Society, and Social Change, and Assistant Professor in our Sociology and Interdisciplinary Social Sciences. You'll see on that screen today, we've got a few speeches, a few presentations, I should say, on para-athletes in retirement, why are Latinx groups underrepresented in sports, medical mistrust and Black athletes, catsuit controversy, an examination of body image and eating disorders among female athletes of color, and normalized racism and microaggression. You see our corresponding student names there. So if you're in that session, that's where you will go. Don't move yet, don't move yet. Our next session is on health and wellness. This session will be moderated again by our very own Dr. Miranda Worthen, Research Coordinator for the Human Rights Institute and Associate Professor in the Department of Public Health and Recreation. But you see today, we're gonna have ameliorating psychiatry, a critical examination of American psychiatric health care, athletes with asthma, effectiveness of combat sport compared to other forms of exercise in the treatment of depression and anxiety, self-care and student athletes, suffering in silence, examining the stigma of mental health amongst young East African women, mood in college students engaging in video game-based exercise, and IO, psychological discrimination on women. Again, you see these wonderful presentations here. If you're interested in that, we ask you to hop on over to that space. But again, not yet. We have one more session that we want to share with you today. And this is our third breakout session on politics, policy, and advocacy, moderated by none other than Dr. Bill Armeline. So we see here, femicide, the disappearance of women, understanding the role of transportation in human trafficking in California, media discourse, the wake of George Floyd, inclusion in the Paralympics, incorporation of power soccer for redefining disability rhetoric in society, and transgender athlete rights in sports. Again, you see your name there, you're gonna hop over to that session and that will take place. We've got a little bit of time, you got an extra 15 minutes on that. So I'll say once this session is over, remember that we will transition back to this space in our main webinar at 12 o'clock for session remarks, awards, and calls to action. Feel free to move.
Okay, y'all, go ahead and join your breakout sessions if you haven't yet.
We'll see you in that space. Looking forward to the conversation, looking forward to those videos. Here we go. Yes, feel free to check the link in the chat if you're looking to find out where you want to move to. Again, we're going to have breakout sessions that'll be in meeting form. So check that chat again for those particular links. And you'll see for session 1, session 2, or session 3. If you still have questions, let us know. But please chime in, listen to, and pose some great questions to our students in this time of research. If you choose and would like to session hop, feel free to go to our virtual program and you're able to move from one session to the next when we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, health and wellness, and again, politics, policy, and advocacy. Grab that link, save that link, and again, meet us back at 12 o'clock. And we'll continue our conversation. Yes, feel free to check that chat and you'll see the virtual program. And in that virtual program, you'll see the respective meeting IDs and corresponding passwords to join. Good afternoon, everyone. Oh my goodness, I hope that you enjoyed those breakout sessions as much as I did. We welcome you back again to our second annual HRI ISC Spring Research Colloquium with the theme of human rights and social change. At this time, we're waiting for everyone to come back from those breakout sessions. So why don't you take the next few moments, go ahead and feel free. Grab a quick snack. I see that it's lunchtime. Perhaps grab something to drink, some hot tea. Some of you may need coffee, and definitely take an opportunity for a little bio break if you need. So we'll be joining you in just a couple of minutes when all of our colleagues, our participants, our speakers come back into the space, and we'll go into a wrap up or a report out of what we learned, what we heard, what we shared in these three dynamic concurrent sessions on diversity, equity, inclusion, health and wellness, politics, policy, and advocacy. Thank you so much. We'll be back with you in just a short moment. Welcome back, everyone. Hopefully you had an opportunity to take that break and take that opportunity to grab a little snack, get you something to drink, water, coffee, tea, whatever your beverage of choice, and definitely take a moment to just kind of breathe a little bit. I think we just had 3 dynamic sessions, heard some great information, and we're going to look forward to sort of sharing some of that here. So again, welcome back to our main stage of our HRI ISC Spring Research Colloquium, again with the theme of society and social change. Social change is our theme here, human rights and social change. I hope that you enjoyed the concurrent sessions and learning more about the issues and the research of our engaged students. At this time, we're going to go into a conversation, if you will. Have a moment really to report out from each of these sessions, as we know that you were not able to be in each one. So we want to hear from our amazing moderators. So at this time, I welcome to our virtual stage, our faculty moderators to report out on the key issues, on the information and the calls to action from their respective sessions. So joining us on this stage, we'll see and chat with Dr. Amy August, Dr. Miranda Worthen, and Dr. William Armeline. Welcome to the virtual stage, everybody. How are you doing? Good, good, good. So we just want to go into talking about and highlighting these sessions. So with that said, honestly, whoever wants to go first, I see on my screen right now, Dr. Miranda, do you want to share a little bit out from your amazing session and what those students had to talk about today? Again, providing us with a little context of what was presented, what was shared under that theme, any key issues or information we need to take away, and then what do you see as perhaps a collective call to action, or maybe specific calls to action for those respective presentations?
Yeah, it was just a really, really rich set of presentations that also built really well on one another. We heard from several students, all with a focus on both mental and physical well-being, really thinking also about what kinds of services are absent or would be more supportive, and also highlighting opportunities. We heard about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and online video gaming as a way of actually building in resilience, physical activity, emotional support. And so we also had a range of presentations that took us through the beginning stage of research, where you're developing hypotheses, you're building on your personal experience, the conversations you're having with others about their experiences, to developing a proposal based on a literature review and a background, all the way to fully developed projects that have been completed, where the research has been conducted and the findings have been shared. In our conversation, we talked about how almost all of the presentations really built on something that I love about San Jose State students and research that we do here, which is that we're making use of our own personal experiences, often experiences that are challenging or painful, and turning that pain or that challenge into a public purpose to really think about how research and action can help improve the lives of others. That is a thread that I often see in my students' work, and it certainly was in abundance in these presentations. So it was a great conversation and great set of presentations.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, so many great presentations. And I want to just send a reminder that if you did not see a presentation, maybe you missed one within that session, or definitely want to take an opportunity to look at the other presentations across the platforms, go to our Institute for the Study of Sports, Society, and Social Change, our YouTube station. On that platform, we have housed, Dr. August, thank you so much, house those wonderful presentations for you to go through, review, play repeatedly, not only like them, but like us. So with that said, let me move over to the Institute, our Institute Assistant Director, Dr. August. You want to tell us a little bit about your session, again, that information, those issues that we need to take away, those key issues, and maybe some calls to action.
Sure. Yeah, so we had 5 fabulous presentations in our session, and they really focused on, well, 4 of them focused on sports, and then 1 focused more generally on issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. But the ones focusing on sport generally looked at barriers to access for different groups. So whether that group be para athletes or Latinx girls, there are a lot of social forces that really kind of exclude individuals from participating. And then once athletes kind of secure a spot within the sport, and maybe even when they move to the upper echelons of performance, there are a number of forces that make their treatment inequitable, or even, inhospitable, even to the point where they consider quitting, or they get out of sport. So to be a little more specific, some of those forces are medical mistrust, right? So when athletes go to the team trainer, they might receive treatment that is questionable. They might be coerced to get procedures that they wouldn't otherwise have considered or have opted to endure, or even the media coverage. So the way the media talks about athletes of color can induce issues with disordered eating and other sorts of health problems. And then finally, we had a presentation that kind of looked in general at microaggressions and racism and how they get normalized within society. So I would say that the kind of common thread through all these presentations are equity of treatment and how do we secure that. And I just want to echo what Dr. Worthen said about students drawing on their own personal lived experiences, because we had the same sort of experience within our session as well, where students tapped into those really personal, moving stories and their experiences being mistreated in sports or as athletes, or when interfacing with the medical establishment, and those experiences really kind of serve to light the fire under them to get educated about some of these issues and engaged in trying to remedy them for the people who suffer.
Thank you so much. I mean, more than anything, it just calls me back to our keynote today, our awardees from Debug, and again, having lived experiences, but using those experiences to empower them and begin to use their platform to amplify ways to promote social change and really change the dynamic of, in this case, justice system, but as again, we talk about our students, each of their respective causes. Dr. Armeline, oh my gosh, thank you, thank you. I know some amazing presentations were shared in your session of politics, policy, and advocacy. Again, similar to the others, can you share a little bit of information, some key insights, and what those calls to action may be from that particular session?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Francie. So I think, first of all, the thing that ties together our presentations in this session were all of our students who are really sort of fearlessly taking on collective social problems. So each one of these presentations, though very diverse, are all trying to take an angle on a really pressing and pretty major sort of regional social problem that confronts us. And they did so, I think, with some particular grace, right? Like the structure of the presentations were really effective, and all the students were asking really, really interesting and effective questions to sort of like further our understanding of those problems or their solutions. I was frankly very impressed by it. I mean, if I could just be really honest. So just to run through quickly, because they're very diverse. We had one presentation that was excellent on the sort of overlay of transportation availability and human labor trafficking in California, which is very, very fascinating to see in terms of how those line up, and the direction that the research is going is that this availability of transportation impacts the degree to which folks can get away, essentially. And so we're beginning to look at like sort of some of the connections potentially between the availability of transportation and people's ability to escape those kinds of conditions or those kinds of relations. We had another excellent presentation on the politics of trans athletes in sports. And this was a really beautiful presentation. I encourage folks to check out the video. And the reason is because our presenter is just brutally straightforward in terms of lining up these myths about trans athletes and just knocking them down with empiricism. It's just a really wonderfully put together presentation. So I wanted to note that. We had another really wonderful presentation on the role of power soccer, which is something that I was completely unaware of until now, for para-athletes and the role that some of these athletes are playing in trying to spread and widen this definition of what an athlete is to include these new kinds of sports like power soccer. So I learned a ton there that I didn't know anything about at all. Next, we also, I'll go quickly here because I know we're running out of time. We had another presentation on the journalistic coverage of the second round of Black Lives Matter protests following George Floyd and others. And this was a really interesting piece of research because the question that our student is asking essentially is, what changes about our coverage about these issues when we start talking to non-elites instead of elites? And what kind of discourse comes out when we're talking to elites? And she started sort of to problematize some of that discourse, which we all thought was quite fascinating. And then last but not least, we had our last year's Arison Agnos Scholarship winner, Anna Maria. She presented on her work on femicide along the Mexican border, which I will just note, she did an excellent job. But I guess what I want to note there is the relevance. Literally just today, the New York Times put out a piece on the dangers of femicide and the outrage over it in northern Mexico, particularly around the disappearance of a particular 18-year-old girl in the last month. And so I encourage folks to check out that article and to check out Anna Maria's video.
I'm taking a breath. I think we need to take a collective breath, a pause, but also moments to just send flowers to each and every one of these students that have just done some really conscious raising, some thoughtful presentations, again, pulling from their lived experiences, pulling from experiences of those that they know that live on the margins and that are in some ways suffering in silence. But hey, we can use this platform, we can use our individual platform as students, as faculty and staff. And I think they should be those inspirations to help lead the way in these amazing conversations. So please blow up the chat. and just send thank you and accolades to those in your session, that those that raised awareness, that those that gave you some new information, that inspired you, that are really pushing you to kind of your own limits to say, hey, I need to get on board. How do I get involved? What are the next steps? And to continue that journey, not only in their activism efforts, but in their scholarship, and using that scholarship as a way to promote social change as well. So hand claps, please blow up the chat. I need them, I need them, I need them. Oh my goodness. Well, yes, our time is coming to a close, but I definitely just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge our students, acknowledge the great work, acknowledge those advisors that supported them in this journey and that are continuing to support them in this journey. Their family members, their friends that are also pushing them forward in their scholarship and their journey as advocates and as activists. With that said, again, check out our platform on YouTube to see all of those amazing presentations. Like them, send them, share them out with others so that they can learn about the great work that our students at San Jose State University are doing in this space of human rights and social change. So thank you, everybody, all of our faculty, our amazing moderators that led those discussions, for providing your insight, your key takeaways, and those calls to action. Students, again, I thank you for your hard work and your care. With that said, I want to move into our last segment, because as our time comes to a close, we would not be complete in this moment without recognizing some of the great human rights and social change efforts through a few awards. So with that said, I want to bring back to the virtual stage Dr. Amy August, and she will announce the student presentation awardee, and then go ahead and throw it to the next individual to share the next awards and other presentations. Take it away, Dr. August.
Thank you, Dr. Carter-Francik. So I will start with the honorable mentions. So first up, we have 2 honorable mentions. The first one goes to Justin Chang for understanding the role of transportation in human trafficking in California. So congratulations, Justin, on your honorable mention. And then a second honorable mention goes to Aaliyah Martinez for transgender athlete rights in sports. So again, you guys did such wonderful presentations. We learned so much from all the information that you packed into just a 5-minute presentation. And thank you so much for your work. And then, without further ado, and believe me, this was such a difficult decision on the part of the faculty members who were judging. There were so many wonderful presentations, but we would like to announce the first place winner, and that is Samar Robla for Suffering in Silence, Examining the Stigma of Mental Health Amongst Young East African Women. Congratulations, Samar. Wonderful work on your presentation, and thank you for educating us. And with that, I'll turn it back to Dr. Armeline.
Okay, so moving right along. Next, we would like to present our 2022 Human Rights and Social Change Faculty Award. And this year's award will go to Dr. Craig Clements. Dr. Clements is the director of the Wildfire Interdisciplinary Research Center. And for those that, or WORK, I love their acronym, by the way. I think they have the best acronym on campus. So I'm sure you can imagine why we wanted to give Dr. Clements and his colleagues this award. Anyone who hasn't been living under a rock knows that we in California have been going through some of the most incredible and destructive wildfires in history over the past few years. And Dr. Clements and his colleagues have done an excellent job, really, in many ways, leading the state and the nation in some of the science around wildfires and sort of helping our ability to mitigate their impacts on vulnerable communities. And so I see Dr. Clements is not able to join us at the moment because he's in class, but I wanted to sort of speak in his absence. He was very, very happy and honored to receive the award, and he sends his thanks to the faculty and the students of the Institute. So many, many congrats to Dr. Clements and his colleagues at WORK. Next, it is also my great honor to announce the recipient of this year's Eris Anagnos Graduate Scholarship. The Aris Graduate Scholarship is designed to support a graduate student each year who is doing work around human rights and social change. We try and really resource the kinds of research that we think are going to highlight significant human rights issues in our region and of concern to our state. This is why we were so psyched to give Anna Maria last year's Eris Anagnos Award. And again, she's doing her really incredible research on femicide along the Mexican border. And this year, we are very, very pleased to announce the winner of our Eris Anagnos Graduate Scholarship and award that to Chloe Angst. Chloe Angst is a student from Applied Anthropology. Unfortunately, she's not able to join us today due to class schedule, but we are very, very happy to award Chloe this year's Eris Anagnos Scholarship. She proposed this really incredible project, a little bit on the macabre side, as she said in her letter, but we're really excited about it. It's actually a decomposition study of homelessness in our region. So in other words, so Chloe is a mortician by trade also. And so what she is going to be developing for our region is a study of decomposition such that when we are finding deaths in our homeless community, we'll be better able to figure out what the conditions in the environmental and other kinds of conditions were to either cause or in terms of the context of that person's death. Long story short, her research will hopefully go a very, very long way to help us all understand the problems of homelessness and homeless fatalities in San Jose and the South Bay region. So we are very, very excited to support Chloe's research, and we're excited to tell you more about that in the future. And I guess I'm just staying on here. You get to hear from me for a few more minutes. So now I'm also very, very excited to announce some of the recipients of our Faculty Summer Research Grant. So the HRI, we every year, one of the reasons we exist as an institute is to support research by our faculty members and by our students as well that contribute to our understanding or realization of human rights in our communities and in the broader state and country. And so we had a ton of really, really strong applications this year. And in fact, there were so many strong applications that we were trying to find ways to fund multiple projects. And so this year, what we decided was to give out 2 mini grants in addition to our general summer grant. And so I would like to announce our first mini grant. You want to go ahead and throw this slide up? I'd like to award our first mini grant to Tanya Bakru, who is one of my colleagues in sociology and interdisciplinary social science. And she's also the program director for WIGS, for Women, Gender, and Sexuality Studies. And we were very, very excited to award Dr. Bakru a mini grant for her book project on reproductive justice, adoption, and care and foster care. And the reasons behind this are many, but one of them for us is our concern as an institute, faculty and students, for the politics around, for example, reproductive justice in our country and in the West at the moment. And as we talk about in some of our presentations today, some of the related trans issues and gendered issues as well. And so we were very, very pleased to support Dr. Bakru's book project this summer. And so please join me. She's with us right now. So let's give her our virtual round of applause and congratulations. Throw it in the chat. Throw it on the screen, whatever you like. And so many, many congratulations to Dr. Bakru for her work. We would also like to present our second mini grant. Well, I guess we'll go to our major grant award. That's fine. So our recipient of the faculty research grant, not the mini, but the whole big one, is Dr. Gordon Douglas from Urban Planning. And I really am excited about this research. Dr. Douglas is working on a comparative study on homeless encampments, particularly looking at encampments in the San Francisco Bay Area and also in Jakarta. And so this is this very interesting international comparative work. I would also like to plug the fact that Dr. Douglas and some of his other colleagues at the Institute for Metropolitan Studies and Urban Planning have also been collaborating with us as an institute to give a whole week of events this week on social housing. And so this is also linked to sort of this broader focus that we're trying to develop as an institute on the issue of housing and on these kinds of human rights crises that are related to housing. And so please join me in congratulating Dr. Douglas for his incredible proposal. And like I said, we're really, really excited to see what he's going to be able to produce. Congrats, congrats, congrats. So good to see you. Thank you so much. And then last but not least, our last mini grant. We would like to award to Judith Randall of Justice Studies. So Dr. Randall is a dual JD PhD. She's one of those super duper enduring graduate students like our colleague, Dr. Kinney. And she is doing some incredible work right now looking at the impacts of AB 2471 in California. And for those who don't know, this was a bill that opened up opportunities for prisoners who were working on fighting wildfires in California. So you might note another theme here in our awards, right? Trying to address these issues of wildfires in California and climate change in California, but there are other impacts. And so this is actually going to be Judith's third piece to her study to look at the implications of this bill. Again, it's supposed to provide some opportunities and options for those prisoners that have been fighting our wildfires, so we can learn more about that and its impacts and how to perhaps improve those policies and those practices. So please join me in congratulating Dr. Randall. And I believe that is all for our awards, correct?
It is. I mean, I give a round of applause for everyone that participated, submitted presentations, again, those advisors, again, that guided these amazing students in their efforts, and to each and every one of you for showing up here today to support just in turning on that screen. So, as I said, appreciate all for their participation, spending time with us today. It was our goal to, yes, share knowledge and research, but more importantly, to amplify the human rights issues and identify ways to make a difference, disrupt injustice, and impart social change. That said, join us next year, submit your research, and apply for our scholarships. And we also invite you to connect with the Human Rights Institute and the Institute for the Study of Sports, Society, and Social Change to support us through donations and sponsorships to our respective and combined efforts in research, student internships, conferences, and educational programming with amazing keynote speakers, and or to follow us through our social media platforms and hashtag join the conversation. Lastly, we want you to see the information that we have here and connect with us on our web platform as well at sjsu.edu/HRI and sjsu.edu/words to action. Thank you again all for being here today to celebrate our students and to really listen to these amazing issues and challenges to each and every one of us in our respective communities and networks. Go Spartans. Round of applause, hand clap to my team.